Now this morning, we're going to take a very special opportunity during the sermon time to not hear me preach so much. So if you want to clap about that, that's okay. Now, I want this morning to be a celebration of a ministry that has been around for 100 years and one that we have supported for a long, long time. And sometimes it's good just to celebrate what God is doing in the world and to celebrate how we are participating in what God is doing in the world. And I want to talk to you a little bit this morning about the Indiana United Methodist Children's Home in Lebanon, Indiana. How many have ever heard of the Children's Home in Lebanon? Good for all of you. And I have a special guest coming up with me. His name is Duane Horstman. Duane, why don't you come on up? First of all, good morning, Duane. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. Thank you.
Good. It's special for us because, Duane, you work at the home, but you also go to this church.
I do, correct.
So that's amazing. So tell us a little something about yourself. Where were you born and how did you end up working at the home?
All right. Well, I was born in North Vernon, Indiana, so down in the southern part of the state, and I went to Purdue University. And after I graduated, this was the first job I had out of college, so I started working at the Children's Home in 1986. I've been there celebrating 31 years this year.
No kidding. Congratulations to you. 31 years. That's amazing. So, when you were growing up, did you have a church home? Did you have an influence in your life or a person who influenced you regarding your Christian faith?
I did. I was actually sharing this story with someone this week that I grew up in the church, literally. I mean, from like the little ones that we just saw here, from as early as I remember growing up in the United Methodist Church, and my life has been kind of touched by the Methodist Church all of my life. I went to North Vernon First United Methodist Church with my parents, Pleasant Grove United Methodist Church down in Charlestown with my grandparents. From as long as I can remember, my grandma played the organ, so she was kind of my first volunteer example, and every Sunday we sat in the first row next to her with the organ, and was involved in youth fellowship and Bible school, church camp. When I went to Purdue, I found my way to United Methodist Church in Lafayette and got involved in youth ministry as a youth leader. The United Methodist Wesley Foundation on Purdue had an impact on my life as well. So.
Yeah, so all along the way.
It was, yes.
So tell us something for those of us who either just don't know entirely or we have this vague knowledge that there's a children's home in Lebanon. What really is the children's home?
The Children's Home is a residential treatment center, group homes for emotionally troubled youth, and we work with kids from all over the state of Indiana. The kids come to us typically through the Indiana Department of Children's Services or through probation, so they're placed with us. The placement kind of varies depending on the progress the youth made, and sometimes just on decisions made by the placing agencies is when they want the kids to move on, but they're with us usually anywhere from 6 to 12 months.
Okay, so the kids are struggling either choices they've made, or could it be things going on in their own home so we need to get them out of the home?
It is a mix of both. So sometimes the kids have made some bad choices and kind of found themselves in front of a judge in court. Other times it's just things that are in their lives and in the friends and family around them.
Okay, so let's say one of the kids comes to the home. Are they in a jail cell? Are they in a dorm? Are they in a tell us a little about what life is like for one of the kids there.
Yeah, they live in a group home. So we have 4 beautiful new homes on the campus, and each home has rooms for 8 boys or girls. So we have 1 home for boys and 3 homes for girls. And each of the kids have their own bedrooms. They have a private bedroom, and usually the other kids in the home kind of decorate it and get it ready when there's a new kid coming. So they do a lot of things to just welcome them because this is their home. So usually their name's on the door, and they have kind of a special meal for them the first night. There's something they choose, and they usually have some stuffed animals and blankets and things like that to just welcome them and kind of get them situated in their new home. So we have a family teacher couple that works in each home. So there's a married couple that lives in each home, and we our model of care is a teaching family model. So we work with the kids and kind of surround them with a sense of family. So they come into a family of 7 brothers or sisters, and
Right.
this married couple, and two of our couples actually have their own children. So again, kind of about the ages of the two that we're just up here baptized. We have one couple that has 2 kids that age, and we have another couple that has 8-year-old twins. So their house has 10 kids instead of just 8.
So do the kids just eat at the dinner table? I mean, this is their home, this is their,
Yes.
so this is where they learn
Yes.
what a healthy family looks like.
Yes. And one of the centerpieces of the home is a huge table that will house about 14 people around it. So one of the kind of centerpieces when you walk in the home is this huge table, because we want to encourage them to sit down together as a family and have meals together, and that's where they do study hour and family meeting. And
So do they cook? They cook in the home?
they do, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've been there for 30 some years. So why have you stayed attached to this ministry for 30 years?
Well, as I stated earlier, I've just been involved with the United Methodist Church all of my life, and just I've kind of gone through doors that have been opened literally, and this was one of those that I found myself in. And it was just an opportunity and a calling to serve. So I've always felt that I would be working with youth, children, some way in my life, and this was the opportunity that presented itself 31 years ago.
Yeah. Well, this is a really important work, because this is really literally redeeming, right? It's redeeming people's lives and getting them back into something that really God has hoped and intended for them from the beginning. Well, we appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's a marvelous work, and we're very excited to be part of it. So we're going to show a video in just a moment of some of what goes on at the home, mostly some of the people who have been at the home for these many years. But for just now, Duane, thank you for coming up, and God bless you, and you just keep doing what you're doing. Friends, Duane Horstman.
Miss Angie Godwin was quite extraordinary. In 1915, she started the children's home in Greencastle, Indiana. It started with 46 children, and it kept growing and growing and actually outgrew the facility. Our excellent board of trustees looked all over the state of Indiana, trying to find a location in central Indiana, and located here in Lebanon in 1924.
This agency, from day one, when Angie Godwin decided this is what the Lord had told her to do, the emphasis has been on helping children become parts of healthy, functioning families.
The mission of the home is to actually enrich the lives of children and families through Christian values, changing kids' lives. It's the most rewarding, if you want to call it a job, that you could ever do.
I attended the children's home from February of 2002 to May of 2003.
January of 1969 until approximately May of 1971.
1981 to 1982.
2009 to 2011.
1970 to 1972.
1998 to 2000. And then from 2003 to 2005.
January of 65 through June of 1968.
1969 to 1971.
December 2011 to January 2013.
August 1974 to August of 1976.
1981 to 1989.
1966 and left in 1972.
In 1967.
03 to about 04.
Spring of 62. I was here for 3 years. And I cried when I came here, and I cried when I left. My first night here, I went to bed, and I laid there thinking that 9 years old, my life is over. I've been thrown on the trash heap of life. And I started crying, figuring this is the end. And I heard a voice in the darkness, and she said, "Philip, come with me." It was the voice of Mom McGuire. She took me down to the rec room where she had 2 cups of hot chocolate waiting. We sat and we talked. And I can't remember what we talked about. But I do remember how I felt, like a warm blanket had been wrapped around me. Afterwards, she took me back up, and on the way back up, she said, "Now don't tell the other boys. We won't want them to feel jealous." She put me in my bed, kissed me on the forehead, said, "Phil, we love you, and you will never be alone again." And I haven't been. And every step, this home has been with me. I remember one time telling Mom McGuire, "I'm not sure I believe in God." And she looked at me and said, "That's okay, Phil, because God believes in you." And I've used that many times throughout my ministry, that God still believes in us. It's hard to believe sometimes the way we screw up, but God still believes in us. And my basis, my foundation for my Christian beliefs are rooted right here. Coming back here, I always feel like I'm coming home again. And since both my parents have died, this is the only home I've got in this entire world.
The children's home was wonderful.
The beginning of change for the best.
One of the best parts of my past.
Inspirational.
It's a life-changing experience for me.
Without the children's home, I wouldn't be who I am.
Was the best thing that ever happened to me.
The children's home was one of the hardest experiences of my life, one of the most amazing experiences of my life, but will forever be one of the most important experiences of my life. I was hit by a car, so I no longer could figure skate anymore. I couldn't run cross country. My leg didn't exactly heal right, so I had a really hard time accepting that. I also was adopted when I was younger, so I had some prior issues, some abandonment issues, so I started acting out. It didn't help that it was my teenage years as well, so I started acting out, and that's what led me to coming to the children's home. For the first year, I was pretty reluctant to take their treatment, but after about a year there, I really wanted to go home, so I started working and following their program, and that definitely helped a lot. There is no such thing as fake it till you make it. You have to work hard to do what you want, to get what you want. To get out of here, you have to work for it. You have to want it, and you have to believe that you can do it. The children's home, they helped me not only realize that my parents aren't there to hurt me, they are there to help me. And they helped us learn that we both need to communicate with each other, and that was the biggest problem we had, is we could not communicate at all. Both of us learned that we do need to talk to each other and understand what the other is saying. I'm in college. I am a junior at IUPUI. I am a TCEM major, Tourism Convention Event Management, and I look forward to becoming an event planner someday. One of the biggest skills I learned here was interpersonal relationship skills, and I think that is going to be extremely important in my upcoming career.
I am a youth counselor for behaviorally challenged kids, particularly autistic kids. With them, I hope I'm giving them some of the same tools that the staff at the children's home gave me. So when they get out of this, they can look back and be like me, like, yeah, I did have that part of my life that wasn't the best, but I've overcame it. That's all I've ever wanted to do, is help people, especially people that have been in the same situations as me.
They've all experienced hardship in their lives, and you can't put yourself in their shoes. And they have that bond of being a survivor and the positive influences that this home has had that's changed their lives to this day.
My first day as a child coming to the children's home was a very rough one. I was 10 and a half. I never had a home. I never lived with my parents, so I don't know. The children's home in my life and in my heart is, and it was and always will be, my home. My fondest memories being here at Christmas time, because everybody got to go home except me, and the home treated me like I was their child. I got like a lot of gifts, a lot of love, because I couldn't go home. So that, to me, that was the fondest of being here, was the love and the family, that they made you feel like you belonged somewhere. This kind of place does help you. Where would I be without the children's home? Either in jail or dead.
Before I got to the children's home, I suffered severe abuse, physical and sexual abuse. We lived in severe poverty, lived in houses with no hot water, lived in apartments with rats and roaches. And my parents are two people who should have had no children, and they had 8 of us. I was the 7th of 8. I was the only one of the girls who would talk back. And my mother didn't like that. And she called the juvenile court system and told them that I was an incorrigible child. She also told them that I played hooky and wouldn't go to school. I had to stay home and clean up the house after her friends and her had drunken parties. She left that part out about me being out of school. The caseworker I had assigned to me there at the juvenile court system recognized all that, and she knew that there was some neglect and abuse. And she was a good little Methodist lady, and she placed me in the children's home. The home literally, going to the home saved my life, because at 14 years old, I attempted suicide. And to this day, I can't swallow an aspirin because constantly heard my mother tell me I was worthless. I would never amount to anything. She couldn't stand the sight of me. And I thought, well, if my own mother hates me, then I must be pretty rotten. And had I not gone to the children's home, had there not been a spot there for me, I probably would have attempted again.
There is a bond that cannot be broken by time, by age, or even by the changes. I mean, they tore down almost all the buildings that were here, but the home is still here.
This is not just a place where children can come to live. It's a place where children can come and have their lives changed, just as it's changed mine.
Know that you're worth every bit of what they're putting into you. You are a worthy human being, and you're going to be a productive citizen when you leave here.
We really all went through the same thing, and we understand each other. We can't judge you because we're going through it.
Looking at us on the outside, you would never be able to tell that we were the problem kids. And I think that just is a, like a secret bond that we have, because we can look at each other and be like, yeah, that used to be us, but look at us now.
And all of us admit that we wouldn't be here today if we had not been able to come to the Indiana United Methodist Children's Home.
Thank you for what you provided me with, and I pray you'll be there another 100 years.
Now, I want to take just a couple of minutes before we close on this topic to invite an old friend up, Jim Gentry. If anybody's ever heard of Jim Gentry, just say amen. And Jim, first of all, I want to say to you today, happy birthday.
Thank you.
So Jim, for many, many years, you have been connected to this home. I don't know how many people here know that, and you have served on the board of trustees for this home for a long time. Just share a little bit about your reflections of the home and why it has mattered to you so very much.
I first became aware of the Indiana United Methodist Children's Home when I was in high school. Our little church, which was a part of a charge, became aware of them. We took offering. That was what we did at that time. In 1967, Marlene and I became aware of the home in a different way. There was a thing called Booth Festival, and we got food, other wares for the home. And then in the early 80s, I became a member of the board. And we lost our first grandchild by a thing called SIDS, Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. And we committed ourselves at that time to make an ongoing gift. We would give $1,000 a year to the Indiana United Methodist Children's Home. And then later we became a part of what's called the Angie Godwin Society, and that recognizes that kind of thing. And I'm glad to stand here and make a commercial this morning.
Oh, okay. Okay.
As you probably are aware, the big gift that we got, the $500,000, made a provision that every gift that would be made in certain places would be matched. And this year, our gift will be matched by a $1,000 gift from that group, from your gift at that point. I would like to encourage others of you, not just for the children's home, but for the other places of ministry, that this gift has been made available to us, that your gift can be matched. That doubles your giving. That's an important thing in many of these places. So I want to encourage you to do that, and that's the commercial. Thank you.
Duane, can you pop back up here for just a moment? And I want to supplement or undergird Jim's little advertisement by just reminding us all that we had an initial, out of this $500,000 given, we have placed $100,000 from our church into the foundation, and the earnings from this $100,000 every year will now go to support the United Methodist Children's Home in Lebanon, Indiana. And so anything you add, it'll be matched, but I want to make sure, Duane, you probably never held a check quite this big, have you? So listen, we're very excited. We're very grateful for the generosity of this congregation. Mostly, we're very grateful that there's a place for children. And God knows these kids, they need a place, and they get love, they get support, they get skills, and they get a chance to have their life turned around and sent in the right direction. So, friends, Jim Gentry, Duane Horstman, and the United Methodist Children's Home, let's celebrate them together.